Welcome to GA325 Corporate Campaigns, Week 7, Part 2 presentation. Newsletters. One major difference between a newsletter and other types of publications, newsletters, like annual reports, consist of mostly text or are text-oriented. This is because typically a vast amount of information must be into the few pages in the print design due to the fact that they are not published on a daily basis. More space is needed for content. Serif type is primarily used for copy and publications, whereas sans serif, which is letters without the extra strokes coming at the edges of the letter forms, are used for headlines and subheads. This is done in order to provide optimum readability and also for hierarchical reasons. As you can kind of see with these bullet points here, the ones that are in bold are the sans serif, and the ones that are in not bold is the serifs. So sans serif, the bolded ones, should only have a handful of words, right? Because these would be shorter phrases, and those are usually larger in font size. But the serif fonts are the ones that are in the 12-point font, and you can have paragraphs and paragraphs worth of them because it makes it easier on the eyes to be able to read. Sans serif. This is an example of a poster that uses sans serif for its bold display font. Headlines or titles are often done in sans serif to increase instant recognition, while serif font with the little elegant extensions on the letters is used for the small type, as you can see at the very bottom of this ad, that's in more of a paragraph type of form. Good publication design versus bad publication design. Use Google searches and other websites to find examples of good and bad design. It is often just as valuable to see examples of what is considered poor or inappropriate page design. There have been some do's and don'ts within this lesson, but it is good to see some examples or specific design example errors and learn how to avoid them. Bad design, part 1, color. As you can see, too many different colors, too many saturated colors, bad color combinations, using different color schemes on spreads, and changing color from page to page. Color is a primary concern in any design job. There should be careful planning from the beginning regarding the right choice of color schemes for the publication. The theme, if there is one, should be reflected in the choices of hues. Once again, cost may be a factor. Some print jobs are going to use a small number of inks in order to keep budgets low. This does not mean that the publication has to lose appeal. Often, limited color schemes are very effective and attractive if they're used right. A general rule to follow is to keep away from the too many of anything. Too many different color schemes, too many different colors, too many different saturations of colors, and using inappropriate colors based on the form and function of the publication. Bad design examples. This is an example of poor design regarding colors and fonts. Too many images superimposed without composition, overlapping, and way too many elements crammed into one cover. This is the style of the publication, but with all the font styles and colors, we have no direction as to what to look at first, second, or even third. But again, for one of these type of magazines, which are right at the checkout counter in a grocery station, they want to attract attention putting people in bathing suits or celebrities and large text and pullouts from other information inside that magazine might help get the attention of the person to buy it. And that's one of the main things they are looking at. So they chose to, to choose the shock factor or, recognizable characters over their design choices. And in some cases that might work, maybe more specifically in this type of situation, but most of the time you want to have good design choices that are, going to help grab attention. Bad design part 2, which is hierarchy. We have discussed hierarchy in text and images on a page in previous lectures. It is also important to avoid common hierarchy mistakes. So, emphasizing the wrong graphic element is a result of poor planning. Emphasizing too many items or all items should be avoided since it destroys the concepts of visual hierarchy. Using too many aspects of emphasis on one item can also lead to poor design. Bad design hierarchy example. It is easy to use tabloids as an example of bad design, but they do target their audience. Here is poor hierarchy design. Every element of headline, subheadline, text, and copy are emphasized. It is impossible to know what to look at first except the one large image towards the center, the alien type of image, mainly because it's the biggest and it is, in the center. Bad design part 3, fonts. We should also include fonts in our poor design lists. Too many different fonts, especially too many different styled fonts, can be a disaster. Using too many font colors is a common mistake as well. Choosing fonts that do not represent the feel or mood of the printed piece can send contrary messages to the audience. One last font mistake to avoid is placing type on a multicolored or bright colored image. The issue becomes one of readability and legibility. Placing type on a photo can unify the two, but it should not be to the expense of the reader's eye. Here's a bad font style example. This is an example of a poor font design. Just like the past two examples, there are too many bold display fonts competing for your attention. The eyes become lost, and the color and variety of fonts is overwhelming and causing a little bit of distraction and just making it seem a little bit confusing or overwhelming to the audience. This concludes part 2 of Week 7 presentation.